ended up causing some issues later down the road. The palace was built, it was opened in 1770, and this became the important room because this is where the business of government was done. The king had appointed the governor to be here, but he had 12 counselors with him. As you can see, these seats are where they would have sat. Now, the council was selected by the king. There was also the assembly, and that was by the regular people. But, of course, at that time, voting was kind of strict. You had to be a landowner, free. I mean, there were a lot of things. So you had to work through that. But they were mostly being dealt with by the council. And the council was for the king. And the people didn't really like the king, let's face it. The governor, he was okay. Now, the king at that time was King George III. You can see him right there. His beautiful wife, Queen Charlotte, is over here. And King George III wanted to make sure that the colony was running smoothly. Tryon's working very hard to do that. But out a little further, maybe about 2-3 hours away from here for driving today, in Alamance, there were some regulators. They were farm people, but they were tired of paying all the taxes from the king, and they just did not want to deal with that anymore. So they started a rebellion, which wasn't great. And Governor Tryon did not want to deal with that, but he had to. So he actually took his troops to Alamance to fight this battle. And he won, of course. He did have the king's guard with him. But the regulators ended up coming back later anyway, causing even more mischief. But at that time, Governor Tryon had gotten a new job. He was sent up to New York, and he was going to become the governor there. Now, you say, if Governor Tryon left, who took over next? Well, Josiah Williams, why is my brain not working? Anyway, the next governor came in, and he decided, and he decided to live here a lot longer than Governor Tryon. Sorry about that, guys. It's live. It's crazy. But he decided to come in. He actually had a bigger family than Governor Tryon, and Governor Martin would work here with the council as well. And it was very interesting with Governor Martin because he, let me think of a good way to put it. He didn't really actually realize what the council was doing because some of the guys on the council here were actually working in town. And while they were working in town, they were working against him. So you had playing both sides, which was very interesting. And Governor Martin didn't realize it until he had a friend of his that found out. And after that, things got rough. The revolution was about to begin. This was 1775. Governor Martin got very, very scared for his family, as you would. And he sent his family actually up to New York to keep them safe, which was a smart move for him. However, he was still here. And he found out that they were coming to him. And he was so nervous that he actually told the people that he was going on a business trip. And he left. And he never came back. He was the first governor to leave his post. He didn't even stay here through the war. He left all of his things behind. He didn't even have time to get his furniture. So it was very interesting that he just left everything. And after the revolution, they actually sold some of the stuff off from the palace. And we have an artifact here which actually belonged to Governor Martin. It's that table over there. And that was actually owned by Governor Martin. It was here in the palace when he was here, which I think is very interesting. Now, after Governor Martin left, the revolution happened. We became the first permanent state capital of North Carolina. Not Raleigh. They got it later. We were the first. And because of that, we became a very important city for North Carolina. So much so that we actually had George Washington, yes, the first president, came here and stayed in New Bern for a couple days, and he actually danced at the palace. And if you've ever seen any of his letters, and you can look those up, he actually wrote in those letters that he had danced, or he had at least seen 70 women at this ball. Now, you can kind of see the scope of this room. It's not a huge room. But they would take everything out of here and use it as a ballroom. Now, I'm going to point over here to the harpsichord. You can get that. And the harpsichord was very important. It's like a piano, but very different. With a harpsichord, you actually have a plucking mechanism instead of your piano type. This was very interesting, just a nice sound. And they would dance in here, and they would dance the night away, and it was just a great time. After Washington left, he ended up going back to Washington and being where he needed to be at Mount Vernon. And this building started being used as a government building only. No one lived here. And later on, it was used for storage. 1798 rolled around, and there was a fire. And the fire started and actually burned this building to the ground. But there were 5 ladies that got together in the 60s, and they helped get money together to bring this palace back. So now you can actually see what it would have looked like. All right. I don't know how long that was. It may have been very short, but that's all I've got. Monday? What? This is live, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will have another broadcast on Monday, and it will be a lecture, and it will be live at 10 a.m. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.